Hello, everybody. How are you? Can't see who's in the group here. This is Alex Coring, and I am the owner of Sidewalk Safety, and I have owned a pavement maintenance business for the last 8 years. I'm trying to see if who's coming into this group here. Today, we're going to be talking about adding service lines to your business to grow your revenue. So I want to see who's coming into the chat. Can you guys hear me okay? Just checking because I can't see anyone in the group. Yes, I am a coach in Diego. I'm a coach in California. I live in Sacramento. If you can hear me. Okay, great. All right, let's get started. I just no, it's not like a normal Zoom where I could see other people in the chat as well. Great, good to see everybody here. Like I said, I'm Alex, the owner of Sidewalk Safety, and I've owned my own business now for 8 years, and have been coaching for the last couple of years with Asphalt Kingdom. And I started my business journey a while ago with my father-in-law. So he was originally the sole proprietor of a company called Sidewalk Grinding. And pretty much he was just a man in a machine. He just had a truck, a pickup truck, and he threw his grinder in the back of that pickup truck and would take off on the road and go out to various, mostly apartment complexes in California, some commercial properties, and knock on doors. So he would do a lot of cold calling and get in that truck. A lot of times in the beginning when he was getting set up, he would even sleep in the cab of his truck with his machine in the back. And funny story, one night somebody tried to actually steal the grinder out of the back of his truck while he was sleeping in it. Which he woke up and quickly got rid of the guy. But there's lots of stories like that we have in our lives where we go through a time of hardship and are trying to establish our businesses, get things going, and we really do what it takes. We dig deep every single day to achieve our dreams. And so the number one thing that we have to have is a clear vision of what we want. Firstly, we can't just go through life blindly and not really know what we're looking for. I think when we have a vision of what our future looks like, a 3, a 5, a 10-year plan, and we take the appropriate steps to get there, whether that's getting coaching and mentoring, reading books, just basically educating yourself every single day about what are some of the new things that are out in the industry that you're interested in, and just growing every single day. And when you have a vision and you grow every single day, then you're going to be heading in the right direction. So today we're going to be talking about growing and scaling your business through adding product lines. As I mentioned, the company that I own was originally called Sidewalk Grinding. We changed the name to Sidewalk Safety 8 years ago when I got involved with the company. And the reason why we did that was it was just kind of diversifying the name a little bit more. Safety was really what we wanted to hone in on, that aspect of the business. My initial vision was, I was thinking we just really hone in on the safety aspect and scale a grinding business, to have multiple employees, multiple trucks, maybe multiple states. As we started getting bigger, we hired our first employee, and we had a few more trucks going and machines. Really, instead of just going out and looking for more grinding work, we started diversifying and say, hey, what are some of the areas that we can do within the customer base that we already have, within those relationships that we already have, because it takes a lot of work to establish and build a relationship. So once you've done all that hard work up front, then you want to be able to capitalize on that relationship that you've built with the customer so that you can stay relevant. And, it's easier to acquire new business from that customer if they already trust you, and, you've already shown them that you're reliable, your pricing's good, your workmanship is good, you're a trustworthy person. So I initially started looking at what we could do on sidewalks to grow the business. And one of the first things I came across that was an additional source of revenue was crack filling. And so we started doing some research into that. And that's actually how I came across a bunch of videos from Asphalt Kingdom. And those videos were about crack sealing parking lots. So, I was looking at crack sealing on concrete. How do you do it? And lo and behold, we've got a bunch of videos from Judd and how to make $1 per linear foot while going out and sealing asphalt cracks. So I said, hey, let's diversify into, fixing cracks in concrete. But what if we also go and seal asphalt cracks too? I didn't really know much about seal coating at the time. And so I went to the National Pavement Expo in 2017, I believe it was, and kind of got educated, took a bunch of the courses there, and walked away with, I think, spending, something like $35,000 to get a whole setup for seal coating and line striping. That included a line striper and a rig, a 700-gallon rig for seal coating. And I was kind of off to the races with that. Initially we were doing about $100,000 a year in revenue with the grinding. Okay. And the grinding work is super high margin. I mean, you could be up near 80% or better with the margins on grinding, because basically you just have a machine and there's some maintenance on it, but it's like a tank of gas a day. And you have the grinding teeth, which are, part of the maintenance thing. So sometimes the grinding teeth break, they're, $3 or $4 a piece, and you have to replace those at the end of the day. So, you might spend a total for a day, if you're looking at like your gas cost and your maintenance cost, somewhere around, $30 to $40 a day in your cost. And then you have travel time and things like that come into play. But when you can go out into the field and make $2,000 a day in profit as a single owner or single sole proprietor of a company, that's very attractive. You don't have to go out there and work too many days to make a really good living. So that's what my father-in-law did for 20 years before I came around. He was just out there grinding every single day on the concrete. Actually, I think he only worked probably 2 to 3 days a week doing the actual work. But the rest of the time was obviously cold calling and going out and, there's billing, there's invoicing, other aspects of running a business, right? That kind of take up your time. But doing 2 to 3 days a week of physical work, and that doesn't include, rainy days and things like that. Where in California, sometimes we have great winters, sometimes we don't. But the nice thing about grinding work is that it can be done in the cold. So we're not really too worried about that. And we're also not really too worried about if it's damp out, we can still do grinding work as well. As long as it's not, a torrential downpour, we can do the grinding. So basically with Gary and his machine, he was pushing about $100,000 in revenue a year. Today we're kind of in that 240, 250 range with grinding. But as a whole, our company is now on pace to do about $2.5 million this year. And that's pretty much within the same, a similar client base that we had before. Obviously we've diversified a little bit with the property management companies that we go after. We always try and get that single point of contact that's responsible for 5, 10, 15 properties, and establish a relationship with that person so we can basically have our phone ringing constantly with the next property that needs something. And the way that we do that is by staying relevant. So, and how do you stay relevant? You add more services to what you're doing. And so first we started doing the crack filling with the concrete. And let me see if I can show you a quick video as to what that looks like. Let me see if my screen share was working. Okay. So this is the crack filling that we do. As you can see, we're pouring sand on this here. Let me play this video. These are the services that we kind of offer and added into our business. So this is the grinding work that we do. And basically we're scarifying down the concrete. We do concrete saw cutting. That was a service that we added. This is let me roll this back, the crack repair for concrete. I'm going to go through these line items with you guys as to how much revenue is generated from each of these services, that you can just tack on simple things to achieve a high profit margin. So we take a V wheel, that's a diamond wheel, and just a hand angle grinder, and we chase that crack down, kind of like you'd use a router on asphalt for if you're sealing cracks in asphalt and you want to widen that crack up a little bit so that you can get more material in. So basically we're widening this crack out, and then we fill it with this self-leveling sealant. And then at the end of that, we dust it off with some sand. So the sand does two things. It prevents people from getting the self-leveling sealant stuck to their shoes and walking around the property. If they step on it, the sand will protect it against squishing out and getting all over the shoes. And then also it blends in really well to the existing sidewalk. So you can almost not even tell that a crack repair was done there. Then we started getting into doing tear outs. So this is kind of in the beginning. We'd use just a pry bar and a sledgehammer. And this is some pretty easy stuff. We just, go out there and saw cut the edge where we're going to start a piece of concrete replacement. And we started with small areas. You could do, if you're going out and estimating for grinding work, you have a trip hazard right here. You want to, if you can't grind that down, or you just have these massive roots, you're going to want to take this out. So basically you're pouring just an area here that's maybe like 15 or 20 feet long. That's a straight stick. And there's not like a grade change or anything. This is some pretty easy stuff to get started with. And all you need really is not much equipment, a sledgehammer and a pry bar and a concrete saw. Jackhammer is very nice also to get started. So this is kind of how we started in the beginning. And then we just dig out the roots, and with the pickaxe, I mean, it's pretty easy. Pour this thing out, roll it out, trying to get down some of the rocks. This is me doing some concrete finishing. And you can make a couple of $1,000 a day easy doing some of these easy pours as well. So those were some of the services that we added in the beginning, and then we started getting more into the seal coating and the line striping. Now here are the kind of projects that we're doing now. Is kind of as you scale up and grow your business. This is a concrete. We did this job in like 5 days. It was a $80,000 sidewalk project, and now we're using kind of heavier machinery. It's a small stand-on compact loader, and we just pick up some of these things with the forks on the front. Saw cut out these blocks. We jackhammered a bunch of this stuff out and had some bigger equipment as well. But like I said, this job was done in 5 days. I think that's 60 yards of concrete we poured, and I think it was like 800 feet of sidewalk total. And we just did basically one section a day. This was all an asphalt walking path that we upgraded to the client for to put in concrete. So this is, as you add these smaller surfaces, then you can get really good at them and then start scaling them up. So it's just basically doing, the small steps. If you can learn things on a small scale, you can also take those building blocks and then grow them. So like if you could basically seal coat a 5,000 square foot parking lot, why couldn't you seal 100,000 square feet or 200,000 square feet? So that's kind of the idea behind that. Let me see if I can take any questions here for a second and go back to this and see. Let me see. All right, cool. Let's see if we have any questions come in so far. I'm not seeing any questions come in. Let's see. I don't know if you guys could see that video I just played. Just want to make sure you guys could see it. Was that able to see by you guys? Okay, cool. So we have a question here. Best concrete grinder to get started with. So thanks, Diego. I think that the it depends on what your setup is, right? So if you are just going to throw something in the back of a pickup truck, you're probably going to want a smaller machine. So they really make them in two kind of weight classes, if you will. Well, I guess there's three, but you have the small 5.5 horsepower machines, and those you can easily pick up one person. Okay, so if you're just wanting to throw it in the back of a pickup truck and go, those are good, but they're a little slower than the 9 horsepower machines that we use mostly. So we've invested in a trailer that we load up all the grinding equipment into, and we also use vacuums. So, when I came on board, we were 8 years ago, we weren't even using vacuums at that point. So we were just going out and grinding, and there was just like a cloud of dust everywhere. And it made quite a mess. We'd basically just carry a broom with us and push off the dust and debris to the side into the planter boxes, and then, move it around with the broom to kind of rub it into the grass and the ground. But I would say that the best machine to get started with, if you're looking for high production and you have the ability to either put a ramp on the back of your pickup truck, or if you have a trailer, is a 9.5 horsepower machine. And I use either the Gracos or the Husqvarnas. There's other companies that make bigger models, like there's Edco. If you go to Home Depot and rent a machine, that's probably what you're going to find is an Edco machine, and they weigh like up near 300 pounds or something. They're ridiculously heavy. So you can't really one person lift those up and put them in a truck. So if you're a one-man show, I would recommend getting with something smaller unless you have a ramp. And if you do have a ramp and or you have help to lift equipment, then for sure I would start on the 9.5 horsepower machines. Let's see if we have any of this stuff in the grinding course. So we are launching a course, just to give you guys a sneak peek, on the grinding work coming up, I think on the roundtable this Wednesday. So if you guys want to come back to the roundtable on Wednesday, I think we're doing the launch on this. Let's see, equipment repairs, equipment and supplies. Here we go. So these are the smaller machines. If you can see, oh, let me share my screen again. Sorry. So these are the smaller machines that we use. They're Bartels. They're the 5.5 horsepower. they're really sturdy and they have these strong stems on them, so they're protected against damage. So we like those. And then here's the Husqvarna machines, and they're, as you can see, the engine's a lot bigger. This is the box for the drum. So this is where we're doing repairs, and this is a Graco machine that we use. So that's also a 9.5 horsepower a Graco. So they make just like they make line lasers, they make a line of equipment called grind laser, and they bought that from Smith a while ago. So here is the Husqvarna machine. I don't know if you can see. Here's a closer look at it. These are really nice. They have a compact handle, and that handle is telescopic. It goes down, so you could actually put this in the back of a car. You could lift it up and put it in the back of a car. So we go over all the equipment in the course, and just to kind of give you guys a quick rundown of what we're launching in this course is some introductory material, just talking about the industry in general, and background of kind of how we got started. Why do concrete grinding? Why it's a great business to get into. I kind of touched in on that a little bit. It's really high profit margin. It can be done in really any kind of weather. It's cold, or obviously if there's snow on the ground, you're probably not going to do grinding, but we can do it inside warehouses. We do it for paint removal. So the winter, the ability to do this in the winter is phenomenal as an additional source of revenue. So those are the machines that I would get started with. And if you go through the course, it'll explain in detail what all the machines are and what their benefits are for different size classes, how quickly you can work through a day's work. So typically with a smaller machine, you're kind of running about 20 to 25 grinds a day, and with the bigger machines, you could get close to 40 or even maybe 45 if you're using the right drum and it's softer concrete. Okay, cool. Let's see. Here we had another question. 9.5 horsepower Graco, or what was the other brand? Husqvarna. So we have a lot of Husqvarna equipment. Let's see. If you guys want to join the roundtable this week on Wednesday, where we'll be doing a launch of this grinding course, then here's some information that you can take down for that. Let's see. Okay, great. Diego, you got it. Husqvarna. There's a Q in there. Let's see if there's any more questions here. Cool. John Chips says he's interested in the course. Yeah, it's a really good course. Judd and I worked on this for almost about a year, and we kind of had a brainchild for it in Anguilla, and just thought there was such a need for not only helping properties keep that safe, long lasting, and looking great. Right, we have that tagline, safe as being number one, and obviously, my company, Sidewalk Safety, we focus a lot on that aspect of the business. But the grinding work really keeps you relevant all year long with your clients, and that's, I think, one of the most important things. Like a lot of companies have 3 different tiers of product offering, right? So you have the low cost, low entry, like easy to get in. That's kind of like on the asphalt side of business, it would be like fixing a pothole, right? You have a 1 million square foot parking lot, and you see a pothole. It's the pain point that you can go after very easily and say, hey, let me fix that for you, because I feel like that's a liability on your property. Somebody's going to come out and trip. They're going to get their shopping cart caught in that, or a baby stroller caught in it as well, and could cause damage to vehicles, people tripping and falling. That's kind of a no-brainer for properties to go out and spend a couple of $1,000 to fix a pothole versus doing a complete restoration to your parking lot. And that's kind of how the grinding fits in really as well. It's hitting all those pain points. It's hitting the safety aspect. There's a lot of businesses that rely on bank loans and funding, And so insurance companies come out, and what they do is they go and walk the property, and they'll say, hey, you have these 10 liabilities on the property, and we're not going to fund you unless you go out and fix these. There's also, when government funding comes into like a HUD property, they have things like what's called REAC inspections, but I think they changed the name from REAC, REAC. We go through that in the course, but I think recently they changed the name from REAC inspections. But there's a publicly available list of inspections that happen on any properties that are like Section 8 or HUD that are funded by the government for low income housing, and they get inspections every year, I believe, to make sure that their properties are safe. So that's another reason why they have to maintain the sidewalks on a regular basis. And we used to go hunt those REAC inspections. We don't do it so much anymore because we have a different way of acquiring business, and the REAC inspections aren't at the top of our list. We're hunting kind of like bigger projects at this point, but that's a really, really good way to get your foot in the door and get started. You can find out, hey, I know that there's going to be an inspector on your property in 2 months. Let me come out and take a look at your liabilities and see what needs fixing on that property. So the grinding kind of, like I said, it hits on all of those really important pieces. It's low cost. Everybody needs it, right? And then they have insurance and bank inspections and property inspections all the time where they're actually required to do this work. It's not just hey, it'd be nice to seal coat our property this year. It would look pretty, or we want to refresh it. It's something that's done out of necessity. So grinding is really a phenomenal business to get into, because you're gonna, like, there's a few properties that we work on, or property management companies, where we do a safety inspection for them every 6 months. Every 6 months we're on that property, and we're going out and we're inspecting it. And so we develop really good relationships with the local managers at these facilities and the regionals. It's a reason to get back in touch with them. So when the bigger projects come along, like we say we have a big concrete tear out project, or they're going to start seal coating, do it every 3-4 years, or there's paving work to be done, we're the guy that's been there every single 6 months for those 4 years. And when the big job comes up, we're ready to go out and perform that work for the client. So it's super important to stay relevant, and the grinding work just puts you on that property on an ongoing basis. And of course there's customers where it's kind of one and done, but the idea is if you're going after points of contact that control multiple properties, then you're able to have that on a rotation basis, where you're going from one property to the next and doing work for them while staying relevant and getting the bigger jobs. Just to kind of share with you guys some of the numbers that we put up. Let's see. So this was the last 12 months that we did. And we kind of break things down into like single grinds, double grinds, triple grinds, and then we do the crack repair, joint repair, concrete patching. So, last year we were at about, $250,000. We grew a tiny bit of, in the last 12 months. So this is like 12 over 12. But if you look at how many grinds we've done, like almost 2,500 single grinds, and 300-ish double grinds. And those are basically, like, we'll go through it in the course, but based on the size and difficulty and how much time it's going to take to do a grind, we designated a single, double, or triple. And essentially what we're doing is we're going out to a property and doing an estimate. So like, I go out in the field with an iPad. There's many different ways to go out and do an estimate, and you can do it on a piece of paper. Like if you go to the office and they give you a sheet, you can have like circle bubbles on a, kind of like a cartoon sheet of the property that you can get from offices. But a lot of times when you're doing commercial, they're not going to have a property map. So essentially we just go out and as we're walking along, you can see I'm just going to drop a dot, and they're counted for us. So we know that's like 86 single grinds, 87 single grinds, 88 single grinds. You get my point. So you can just drop these points down on a property while you're walking around. The GPS little blue dot will follow you. So we go through this in the courses about how to set up some of these maps. You can use these also with AK Dash, so we can integrate these maps into AK Dash for you. So essentially, you can send a snapshot of this to your client and you put it in your proposal. So you can just grab this screenshot, put it in your proposals. If you like, if you're using AK Dash, you can save the images in there as well. And then we take these maps that we get, and then we can do 3D modeling of the property. So we can take a look at it from, all different kinds of perspectives and share this with the client. A lot of times in our proposals, we'll do like video walkthroughs. So I'll just take them through this and I'll say, hey, over here, we're doing this work, and over here, there's these grinds. And we use this a lot for asphalt, marking up different areas with asphalt as well. But, if you wanted to learn how to build and create and use these maps and integrate them with AK Dash, then, give me a ring. I'll put up my information here so that you guys can, if you guys want to scan this, I think it should be up here in the corner too. But if you wanted to get a coaching session on how to build estimate maps that can store information and photographs for properties that you're walking, it's really helpful for the grinding work. It's also applicable for paving and seal coating. I do coaching on that, and also do coaching on how to build prospecting lists. That's one other thing that I really focus on. So anything that has to do with technology and your tech stack, I'm really interested in helping people grow and scale their businesses from that standpoint. So let's see if we have any other questions popping up. Nope. Give it a second. So I can, let's see, go into a little bit more about the grinding course and what's involved in it. Let's see if I'm still sharing my screen. So we talk a little bit about the legal aspects of what, why it's really important to go out and have ADA compliance on a property. Gary, my father-in-law, who started sidewalk grinding, he actually has taken his knowledge from the industry and is now a expert legal defense for lawyers, mostly for plaintiffs that have tripped and fallen and have a lawsuit against properties. On average, we're looking at like anywhere between $20,000 and $100,000 is kind of the range where if you had a lawsuit for a trip and fall. A lot of these things settle out of court because once they get to court, they kind of inflate the price. So a lot of people will just settle before things go to court in order to avoid all the lawyers' fees. But what Gary's doing now is he's going out and he flies out to an area where somebody tripped and fell, and he does a assessment of the liability and determines whether or not it's a property owner's fault that somebody tripped and fell, or if it was like due to negligence. So that's one of the biggest things if you're going out and talking about grinding and you're talking to property owners, is that if they didn't know there was a tripping hazard on their property and somebody went out and fell, then it's not as bad as like if a property went out, and sometimes you'll see the sidewalks are painted yellow. So if you see yellow paint marks on the sidewalks, it's like basically advertising that that they know that there's a trip hazard and they've done nothing about it. I've been on properties where, they have for something like 5 or 6 years, they have these yellow bars painted on the trip hazards, and they've done nothing to fix them. And basically, it's just an advertisement like, hey, we know that our property is really dangerous, but we're not going to do anything about it. And that's called negligence. And so the easiest way to lose a lawsuit when it comes to a trip and fall is that all the plaintiff has to do is show that the property was negligent, and it's pretty much an automatic win for that person. So what we do is to help our clients is when we go out and do inspections, we will give them a certificate of insurance, or sorry, a certificate of inspection, where it says basically that, hey, we know that there's trip hazards on our property, and then we have this estimate from Sidewalk Safety, and we are budgeting to make these repairs as soon as possible. So it kind of helps them out a little bit if they do have somebody that trips and falls between the time of inspection and the time of performing the work. A lot of times they'll just hold on to that certificate of inspection and file it away. And we keep a record of those. They're built into our proposals. I believe AK will be providing those to you guys as well as you get signed up and a part of this, grinding community. That's one of the assets that we've developed for you guys, so that you can give that out to people that you do estimates for as well. Let's see. I don't know if we have any other questions come in. See if I'll take a look at some of the other. So Mercy's asking a question. What kind of properties make up most of your sidewalk grinding business? Thanks for asking, Mercy. I would say that probably 90% is apartment complexes. That's who we focus on. Well, 90% is property management companies. I would say that it's probably a 70-30 split between apartments and HOAs. So we also focus on homeowner communities, homeowner associations, and we do work inside the community. So you have like a gated or fenced community, and there's typically a lot of sidewalks along the city streets that are in there, and they get neglected quite a bit. There's also many HOAs that kind of look more similar to apartment complexes. And the HOA is responsible for the common area. Like, it wouldn't necessarily be the walk path from the driveway to the front door, but it would be the walk path that, goes meandering through that community and along the main streets. So we'll do those inspections. Like, if we're working with an HOA, we always want to make sure that we're really clear up front with what the HOA is responsible for versus a homeowner. So we don't want to start going out and marking up areas that the HOA is not going to pay for, because what we do is we put an orange dot down on the sidewalks to mark a single, or 2 dots to mark a double, 3 dots to mark a triple. So that's kind of how we mark them, and we don't want to put paint marks on somebody's driveway unless the HOA is kind of responsible for it. We know they're going to pay for it. So yeah, essentially it's a lot of property management companies and probably about 70% multifamily apartment complexes. And in typical, we'll go out and we'll do like maybe 50 or so grinds on a property. Sometimes we're up in the 200 range if you've got a bigger community. Some of these properties take, it could take like 6 to 8 hours to go out and walk. So they get pretty big. And that could be, I just did a bid the other day. It took 2 days to walk the property, and it ended up being $20,000 in grinding work. And then we performed that with 3 guys in, I think it was 4 days. We did all that work. We had 3 guys out there on machines and vacuums. And so, we get some of those bigger projects. We also have people calling us that their doors are stuck. They can't get a loading dock open. We've done airport work for hangars. We've done paint removal. We've worked for general contractors where they say they've like poured a sidewalk. We've done Amazon fulfillment centers, and they have inspectors come out and they say, oh, you're over your 2% cross slope. And so we've done grinding work for like one of the biggest GCs in California called Tykert, and they call us up whenever they mess up a concrete project. We go out and grind it, and then we do a top coat of Ardex, and then it makes it basically look like brand new sidewalk, so that you'd never even know that the sidewalk was ground down and then repaired. So it's a lot cheaper to do that than it is to just tear out a bunch of sidewalk. We've also done work for Tykert where they've put in some paving and they have ADA. Mostly it's ADA stuff where we're going and doing repairs. So what's the price for in-house training? Would love to have you come out, Diego. I don't know if we've set that yet. So I think stay tuned for Wednesday when we do the launch of the course. But I think what we're going to be doing is a group session. So if you sign up for the course, I think we're going to be rolling a discount on some training, and we're going to do a group training out here in California where that training course is going to go through prospecting, cold calling. We'll do some of that in person, and then we'll also go through the estimation process, what to look for, how to quote it, how to bid it. And then we'll get out there and we'll do a couple projects. I think what we have slated to do in October, we're going to do this in-person course. We're doing a big project for the Hilton. I think we're going to be doing that one. So we're doing a pool deck over there, and then we have a bunch of sidewalk grinding and sidewalk replacement. So stay tuned. Let's see what else Diego asks. Do you need a California contractor's license for concrete grinding? Great question. You pretty much need a California contractor's license to do anything out here. But the nice thing is that you need the contractor's license, but it's a classification called let's see, where's my placard? It's like a D classification. It's not a C. So it's a D09, I believe, and it's for concrete preparation or something like that. You don't have to take the trade exam for that course. That's the nice thing. So it's like one of the only trades in California where you still need the business license. So you need to take the business exam, but you don't need to have 4 years of journeyman experience, and you don't need to take a trade exam to get the license either. So it's very easy to acquire this license. And I think it's probably similar in most states. Like concrete grinding is not one of those things that's going to be difficult to get licensed in, if any. I know California is one of the worst in the country when it comes to, making you jump through hoops to be able to get out and have a contracting business. So I think, I think it's relatively easy. You just have to take the law. I think it's like the law and business exam. But you could study for that in a weekend and get it. It's not a problem. See if we have any other questions coming in. Doesn't look like it. Well, I think unless there's any other questions coming in, I'll probably wrap it up for today. But I think we're going to be doing some more Q&A on Wednesday, and we look forward to seeing everybody there if they're going to join in. Unless there's any other questions, I'll sign off. Great. Thank you so much, everybody, and looking forward to meeting people and showing them how to start a grinding business. Thank you so much.